And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the semi-finals of the Tenacious Turtle Tussle number 18. We have our top players lying in wait, and we're jumping into our first TvT of the night. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And in the top left-hand corner, we have the Red Terran representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Nicoract. Let's go. The semifinals are upon us. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is, Pappy. You know what time it is. It is time to get your gamba going. Predictions. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series, whether it's going to be our Red Terran or our Blue Terran player instead. Best of luck. Of course, ByuN is the heavy favorite in the event, but we have seen him brought down before. We have seen even Nicoract bring ByuN down in times past. What I will say, though, is that was typically in a best of 1 setting in OSC King of the Hill. In a best of 3, can Nicoract bring it home? Can he turn it on? Can he go and bring everything he has here to the table to bring ByuN down? I want to believe he can, but we'll see. We're here to bear witness. Double gas opener out of Nicoract, double gas opener out of ByuN. Both players going for a faster factory, both players going for delayed CCs. So far, mirrored builds. So far, so good. Again, we'll be keeping on any kind of big deviation. With the faster factories, this can lead into Reactor to Reaper Hellion. This can go into initial Cyclone drop, Cyclone Widowmine even. There is potential, as the factories are on the way. And we'll see where this takes us. And when it comes to the previous edition of this tournament, I believe ByuN is the reigning champion. I believe he had his finals against Trigger, if I recall correctly. I'm going to have to double check that. Yeah, I remember. But yes, ByuN is the reigning champion. He went up against Trigger last week in the finals. Alas, Trigger is not here this time, unfortunately, to reprise his role. Instead, we have a fresh set of players to step up instead. Behind this, both players, of course, expanding, taking their natural bases, getting into their 1-1-1s. Starports are on the way. And we are going for the initial Hellions, but only a handful of them. Not really committing too hard. So just going to be 2 Reapers and 1 Hellion. Nothing else behind this. No big commitment into additional Hellions. And we're switching into Cyclone. And again, so far, we're still mirroring each other. Still mirrored builds. To see ByuN getting ready for his own drop play. Medevac is on the way to move out across the map. Likewise, same can be said for Nicoract. We do have some slight differences here. Nicoract, he had his marine production slightly faster. Meanwhile, ByuN had his medevac production slightly faster instead. So just some very small deviations, but I mean overall the same build. Now, when the medevacs move out across the map, we can enter a really weird game state where if the medevacs miss each other, then we can end up in kind of like a pseudo base trade where we have a drop on both sides, harassing at the same time, or they could run into each other instead, and then it comes down to who reacts first. Speaking of, Nicoract is boosting in, and they will spot each other.
Command center.
Nicoract, he does react in time, does zone away the medevac. Gets a couple of hits in. ByuN trying to bypass the drop. Up! Get some shots off. Likewise, both armies bounce off each other. At the same time, Nicoract gets across the map. But there are Cyclones and Marines, and ByuN will defend. ByuN does deflect the army. Meanwhile, he rotates back around. Reapers into natural, getting 3 SCVs. 3 SCVs do fall, and ByuN is going into the main. Meanwhile, Nicoract is committing across the map. Uh-oh. He is trying to commit. Nicoract does have an army back at home to defend, in between the bases. ByuN boosts into the mineral line. Nicoract boosting in towards the natural. SCVs once again going down. But ByuN, he has plenty to defend back at home. There's the Raven, the auto turret. ByuN does deflect. And across the map, 4 SCV kills. This is adding up over time. That's going to be 7 SCVs in total. Jumping towards the natural. Getting another worker up. He wants at least one more. Does get it. Gets one, gets two. Two more SCVs. Nicoract has potential across the map with his own Medivac, but ByuN is set up, ByuN is ready, and after all said and done, after the dust settles, ByuN does have a pretty large worker lead here. He's up 9 workers, oh sorry, 11 even. I just woke up, man. I just up on workers, third CC's on the way. Now, because Nicoract has lost so many workers already, and he's aware, like, Nicoract, he's aware that he has been bleeding out some units, and he hasn't really been able to get much damage across the map, Nicoract might be forced into something like a 2-base all-in. Nicoract also gets eyes on the third. Will delay. Either that, or Nicoract is going to be pressured to delay the third for as long as possible to move out, and to take his own on location. So we'll see if Nicoract does start his own third expansion, or if he just commits. As he's getting ready for his own move out. He's on 3 Ravens. Looking at the army tab here, we have 3 Ravens, 3 tanks. The downside here for Nicoract is that ByuN is building up his Viking count. It's going to be all about the air control. Ravens are good, but if they cannot get close to the tanks and they cannot disable, and they cannot break through. So Nicoract is moving out. He's getting a third CC behind this. Nicoract attempting to expand. Is going for a split push. ByuN up to 4 Vikings. Drop does thread in the main. Hoping to distract ByuN. The Vikings are still on patrol. Ravens move in. Vikings will zone away. We're going for the disables. We get 2. 2 tanks are disabled, but there's still 2 more behind this. The counter disables coming in. And ByuN looks like he barely has enough. Takes down the first tank, the Marines, the second tank as well. And ByuN will clean this up. Again, Nicoract, I'm sure he was hoping that maybe the drop would distract the Vikings. And he would have an opening, but GG gets called, and ByuN will take game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. A very, very intense game 1 there. Again, Nicoract, he had definitely an opportunity towards the end, but alas, he was hoping that he could maybe pull ByuN's army apart, distract him with the drop, create an opening. That was the one chance that Nicoract had. Unfortunately, barely wasn't able to pull that off. And likewise, ByuN, he was able to edge out quite a lead early on with the drop harass. With the drop play at the natural, drop play in the main. But now we're settling into game number 2. We are going to be loading into Dynasty. And we'll see what kind of different builds our players have this time, as we're loading into a very unique map. Into a map with a pocket gold. Now, I'll be honest, this map is often vetoed, and I rarely get to see this map in any matchup. I feel like we see it more often in ZVP nowadays, but we've been casting a lot of Shin. Rarely see it in TvT. But here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Dynasty, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Red Terran player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Nicoract. Here we go. Okay, the gold base is going to be a big factor in this TvT. I don't expect anyone to rush into the gold early on. The reason for this, and the reason why you don't rush into the gold in this matchup or in PvP either, is because range-based units can punish this quite hard. Units like Marines, more importantly, Reapers, Hellions, Cyclones, any range-based unit can deny mining time quite easily here across the map, so our players should be taking standard expansions first, and they should be avoiding the gold until they get map control. That's how it should play out, but we'll see. We'll see if anyone is crazy enough to rush into the gold. We shall see. So we do have Nicoract going for his SCV scout. ByuN does, historically in this matchup, avoid SCV scouts in TvT. So as a result, ByuN will have the slightly more efficient start. but Nicoract will have more information. As the SCV does dip in, this will confirm the double gas opener. Likewise, double gas for Nicoract as well. Both players opening up in a similar fashion. Now, I don't blame Nicoract for SCV scouting just because ByuN is also known for proxying quite often in TvT. So, Nicoract also playing it safe. He's just going to be playing it safe in the end. We'll pull back. Likewise, ByuN moving out with his Reaper. You can see he's immediately checking the gold. So ByuN being careful, checks the gold, and gets the hell out of here. Meanwhile, ByuN is out of position, so his CC is going to be delayed for a couple of seconds. Nicoract pulls away, getting his own on location. So nothing major here, just a bit of a give and take. CC was delayed by a couple of seconds. Ooh, and Nicoract is going for Reacted Reaper. Okay, it's going to be Reacted Reaper Hellion here by Nicoract. A much more aggressive start from the Red Terran. ByuN instead going for a Marine follow-up into Cyclone. So because of this, there is going to be a small window where Nicoract has a greater army supply to work with, and his goal here is to bust into, ideally, the mineral line, and ideally overwhelm the ground army of ByuN. As the Cyclone count gets higher, though, ByuN's defense is going to be more secure. Here we go, Nicoract is moving out. Now, he only gets up to 3 Reapers. Okay, only 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion. Doesn't invest into like 5 Reapers and 3 Hellions. He calms things down, moving out across the map, and we'll see if he can get into the mineral line. There's a Cyclone here on the high ground. He goes for the SCVs. He's going to get 2. 2 SCVs go down. He's going to be shut down. Brutal KDA charges. He cannot escape. And that was not the best trade. Again, the positioning from ByuN was brutal, just making sure that Nicoract could not get out of there. And now it's time for ByuN to counterattack. Now back at home, Nicoract, he has his own Cyclone, of course. He has his own Marines in position. But it's still a little bit bare bones. And ByuN is rallying everything across the map. He knows he has momentum. Let's get the lock on. Taking down the Marines. There's no support either. It looks like Nicoract is going to be able to hold his own, but the Cyclone's taking too much damage. He has to repair. And the repairs are not good enough. The Cyclone falls. GG gets called. And ByuN will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A very intense series. Both game 1 and game 2 did come down to the early game aggression and the early game harass. In the end, ByuN did come out on top in both instances. But GG, well played. GG, well played. Shout out to Nicoract. A shout out not just to Nicoract, but to all the European players that did sign up here for this tournament. I know it's very late. I know it's very late in Europe. I mean, it's okay. It's like what, like, you know, between like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. It's okay. It's okay. It's not too bad. But I know it's not the best time zone or not the best time slot for European players. So again, big shouts and a lot of respect to the European players that did stay up to compete here in this event. So much love, big shout out, and again, congratulations for Nicoract to making it this far. May have been knocked out by ByuN, but ByuN is the heavy favorite, and despite that, Nicoract still made it into the top 4, and top 4 get paid out here. Top 4 do get paid out, so Nicoract is still going to be compensated for his time for bringing down Epic in the earlier round. And now we're getting ready for our lower semis.